Highlander is a fantasy sword and sorcery epic set all across the reaches of time, and it stars Connor MacLeod. He's a swordsman born with inexplicable immortality. He seems to live forever in his physical prime, unable to die unless his head is finely cut from the rest of his body. Why? No one knows why exactly. Sure, the immortality has rules and stakes, but as the film tells it, some people are just born differently. It's a very mystical, religious sort of experience, this immortal warrior business. And you can't exactly separate the warrior from the immortal, or vice versa. Because each immortal has this indescribable, insatiable urge to combat his fellows. They'll duel, lobbing each other's heads off in brutal combat until only one remains. And he who stands last will acquire the prize. It's pretty serious business, but the actual tone of the film wildly fluctuates from goofy to grimdark. I think that's ultimately to its benefit. The concept is dramatic and romantic, but equally quirky and laughable. The self-indulgent special effects and hammy acting are just part of the charm. There's an incredibly distinct style here. Some scenes are nothing short of audiovisual splendor, successfully transporting us to another realm hidden within our own. Highlander delivers on the premise of dragging fantastical, larger-than-life elements to regular old 1980s New York, asking us to bask in the screeching, sword-slashing, explosively over-the-top glow of it all, and ideally, not ask too many hard questions while we're here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Highlander is a dumb film. Some of the storytelling is great, the flashback scenes are surprisingly intense, dripping with high emotion and baked in strong themes of prejudice, self-discovery, and the struggle of cosmic inevitability. There are many thoughtful ponderings about the nature of causality, how our circumstances shape our personalities, and all that good stuff. But there are just as many characters and moments which are nothing short of absolute nonsense. To start with, the villain. He's evil and sadistic just because, he's evil and sadistic. They dedicate one scene to telling you that he's cuckoo crazy, and then he spends the rest of the film chewing scenery. Sure, the end result is a highly memorable antagonist, but they cheated to get there. The only reason you remember him is because they completely forewent any character complexity for the sake of making him as extra as imaginable. All of his decisions are senseless, because he's senseless, and his very existence is just an excuse to shuffle the story along to the next big fight scene. If the villain were the only problem, we could chalk that up to the same goofy, self-indulgent streak as the acting and effects, but there's also a completely unnecessary subplot involving a hopeless detective. He just bumbles around from scene to scene, never successfully piecing together what's going on, and then he fades from the story entirely. He technically exists to give the main love interest a lead, but there were much easier and less obtrusive ways to accomplish that. All this cop drama junk should have been left on the cutting room floor. I also thoroughly dislike Highlander's pontificating on immortality. I've heard it all before. Wouldn't it just be like so super sad, the film asks, if you lived forever and your loved ones didn't? And yeah, it would be sad, but people adjust to pain like that, especially if they experience it repeatedly. When you love anyone, regardless of whether you're immortal, you must know that one of you might die before the other, and ideally you'll move on and find someone new, because that's healthy. There's no such thing as an eternity of grief unless you're determined never to let yourself heal. Still, in the grandeur of the overall experience, those are relatively minor issues. This is a powerful story where emotions are high, the dialogue is forceful and blunt, and everything hits like a 10-ton hammer. By design, it's a complete story that leaves no room for anything but itself, and whatever issues I had with it, it's unique and stylish.